It's a weekly occurrence where we have a traffic accident versus a structure, remote or metropolitan. These will and do happen.
Attention, attention, volunteer fire and rescue service, turn out to call by 000 to car versus house, person trapped with an unknown chemical leak to the convention centre. Attention, attention, volunteer fire and rescue service, turn out to call by 000 to a car versus house, person trapped with an unknown chemical leak, the convention centre.
The volunteer fire and rescue service is responding to a vehicle versus house, person trapped with a hazardous material. The trigger there for the incident controller is the hazardous material. With any incident, fire or rescue, the presence of a hazardous material throws complexity into the officer's mind. Ideally, we arrive uphill, upwind, 70 metres to assess. The safety of our crews is paramount, containing and secure the area, identifying the product prior to taking any further action. You'll see the firefighter assessing the scene, trying to identify the product, fully equipped in personal protective equipment and clothing. Making an assessment of the product where possible.
Attention, attention, bushfire service, turn out to assist a volunteer fire and rescue service with water at a chemical spill at the convention centre. Attention, attention, bushfire service, turn out to assist volunteer fire and rescue service with water at a chemical spill at the convention centre.
In the rural-urban interface and remote areas, interoperability is key. The bushfire service regularly assists fire and rescue service and state emergency service crews at a number of incidents. This is just a prime example of the partnerships we...
6AR to volunteer fire and rescue service, proceeding with chemical information. Chemical is a herbicide, solvent resistant respirator required, wash down with water, safe once diluted, absorb residue with peat sorb or lime. Over.
The information presented to the officer in charge allows them to make some decisions about how to conduct the extrication of the casualty in a safe manner. They'll mitigate the hazardous material and move into the extrication phase. The officer in charge is doing a size up, a 360 of the incident, now that they have the ability to get up and close. There's a number of factors that you can see here. Structural collapse, persons trapped. Objectives and goals have been set, tasks are underway. Wherever possible, the officer in charge will upgrade the response required in regards to resources and also control. The district officer has now arrived on scene, taken control of this incident, ensured that the objectives and goals are sound, and tasks are underway. The initial arriving officer has now taken up a forward control point, assessing and assisting her crews to safely stabilise this vehicle whilst monitoring further structure collapse. You can hear the officer in charge making contact with the casualty inside. Casualty care is paramount. The levels of anxiety and stress that a casualty presents with, on top of injuries sustained, shock alone can cause a fatality. You can imagine that for the casualty at least, this is not a common occurrence. They would not have been in a situation like this. They need reassurance, calming, and information. They need to understand what is going on. The bushfire service has now been responded to a scrub fire. Again, these incidents can be complex. Often, in rural areas, there is more than one hazard. The requirement to be redirected at any stage is always present.
Attention, attention, State Emergency Service, turn out to assist the Volunteer Fire and Rescue Service at a building collapse at the Convention Centre. Attention, attention, State Emergency Service, turn out to assist the Volunteer Fire and Rescue Service at a building collapse at the Convention Centre.
The State Emergency Service has now responded to assist fire and rescue with the extrication and structural stability of the structure. The firefighters now removing the door to gain access to the casualty. It's paramount that we get someone inside that vehicle as early as possible to assess, treat and package the casualty. In metropolitan areas, you can almost be guaranteed of having a paramedic and or policeman on scene in a reasonably timely manner. Remote areas is different. You can see the State Emergency Service officer inside, working with the casualty, making space, assuring the casualty that rescue is coming. What he's doing now is assessing the casualty for injuries, advising the officer on the outside of the vehicle of what needs to be done and how the extrication should take place. You can see a number of tools being used here: the casualty transfer board, the casualty handles. Ideally, with any major impact, we always preserve spinal alignment. The packaging of the casualty is critical. The teamwork involved is critical. Those right decisions need to be made at the right times. Can I say that from a casualty's point of view, sitting in that car right now, they don't care what colour the uniform is. All they care about is someone is there to help. You can see the district officer taking a control point. He's taking a 360 view, ensuring that safety is maintained and the tasks are being achieved. There's clear and concise discussion between the crews. The officer at the forward control point is ensuring that the extrication is following the appropriate guidelines to ensure safety. Communication is paramount. The crews need to understand what each other is doing, what their roles are.
Attention, attention, Urban Search and Rescue K9 section, turn out to assist the Volunteer Fire and Rescue Service at a building collapse with possible entrapment at the Convention Centre. Attention, attention, Urban Search and Rescue K9 section, turn out to assist the Volunteer Fire and Rescue Service at a building collapse with possible entrapment at the Convention Centre.
The rescue continues. Spinal alignment is critical. Managing and packaging the casualty is critical. The intent is to do no further harm. You can hear the commands of the officer in charge, clearly directing the crews. It's vital that everyone's on the same page at this point. It's an incremental process. There's no requirement to get that casualty out in one movement. In fact, it can create more damage. Ideally, the ambulance service would be on site by now to take care of the casualty and transport to medical help. However, firefighters and emergency service workers are all trained in first aid to provide that initial medical care. Rescue phase has been completed. You can see the district officer now discussing the further actions required with the emergency service workers. Urban search and rescue is a specialist skill. The USAR canine section is just one facet of urban search and rescue. You can see the operator there with the dog Xena. Mike and Xena are fully qualified urban search and rescue team. Very skilled. The emergency service workers now are going to set about ensuring that the structure is sound and free of any further casualties. So the removal of the vehicle can cause further collapse. They'll ensure that the roof structure is stabilised and the property is clear. USAR canine are trained to detect live human scent. In a collapsed structure, human scent will rise. Hence, the dog needing to do a 360 and then get on top of the pile. This can be done in a number of ways. Xena has deployed many times to operational incidents, not only within Western Australia but also interstate. The ability to get on top of the pile can be done in a number of ways. You might just climb a ladder, for instance. Training like this doesn't happen overnight. So Xena is now detecting any human scent present. If she gets a hit, she'll make the handler known, and then we'll deploy crews to conduct that rescue. Xena and other USAR canines train regularly. It takes two years to qualify a canine in USAR. The structure is clear of human life, so there's no further need for rescue. We're now moving into the recovery phase. To remove the vehicle, there's a number of things that need to occur. To do so in a safe manner, we can't just pull it out and hope for the best. Any further structure collapse could occur. The State Emergency Service now will move into that recovery phase where they stabilise the structure from further collapse prior to the removal of the vehicle. There's a number of ways they can achieve this. Most efficiently, time-wise, is to use acro props. Acro props are a primary form of stabilisation. In the world of structure collapse, if the event was a long duration event, we would use primary stabilisation in the form of acro props, replaced by timber shoring. The need to make this area safe prior to departure is paramount. We are now handing this property over to either insurance contractors, private owners, it may be a public space. We must be able to hand this property over to someone in a safe manner. And now releasing the primary stabilisation of the roof to the car, and we'll proceed with propping the roof structure. This type of event is absolutely realistic. For those who live south of the river, whilst travelling here this morning, I drove past an apartment block on Canning Highway that has had its roof removed by the storm overnight. The roof structure was probably 5 times the size of that, landed in the middle of Canning Highway. This is absolutely a realistic occurrence. So they're now propping the roof structure to allow the removal of the car by contractors without any further collapse. You can hear some hand tools going on in the background. They're ensuring that once they walk away, the structure is stable for further contractors and or the public to be in and around. Once they've deemed the structure to be safe and sound, they'll report back to the incident controller. The incident controller will then hand over this property to the appropriate person, whether it be police, whether it be the owner or insurance contractors. Thanks folks. Can you join me in thanking these fine people in the demonstration? Folks, thanks very much. Listen, feel free to ask questions. These guys will be around for some time this morning. I hope you've enjoyed the presentation this morning. Can I just finish by saying, this is a team game in which we play. For those of you that are operational, please train as you play, interface with your partners as much as you can. When it happens for real out there, if we don't do business together in training, then we're not going to be able to do it together for the real thing. So embrace your partners, whether it be internal or external of the department, and train as you play. Thanks very much.